the way it goes. Just the way it goes. Degrees.
Welcome, college football fans, to Week 8 of Eugene to Tallahassee, your weekly college football top 25 recap, where we talk about what's going on in the world of college football. I am your boy Svo. With me is my college football brethren, Brew and Luke. Luke, how are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. It's a nice little Monday here. We got some big baseball games going on right now. Had a good relaxing weekend. Ready to get into some nice college football talk, getting ready for this week. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I got college football with you tonight. I'm drafting horror movies on the other show on the Sadistic Penguin channel, Getting Drafty Pod, tomorrow.
Nice.
And then Sunday, Yumper and I are talking about the Friday the 13th series on Yumper and Svo. So we got all kinds of shit going on. I don't know. Maybe Luke, maybe you're getting us some playback on Saturday.
We could before the big bum, before the big bum party.
We do. Oh, that's right. We do have a big bum. Yeah.
But we could do like a matinee playback potentially. We can discuss that.
Okay, I like it. I think that we got Spags. He's first smashing that like button. He did at 7:48 a.m. Never mind, he's not in here.
Attaboy.
But let's get right into the action. Let's start off with our game balls and lane balls. Shout out to our boy Yumper for this graphic. I finally figured out how to crop it properly so the whole thing showed up. But we love our boy Yumper. But Luke, I'm gonna let you kick it off with the game balls and the lane balls this week because I know you have some thoughts.
Okay, I'm going to start with the fun side of things first with the game ball. With Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers, I can't think of the mascot name off the top of my head. I mean, they're the Hilltoppers, but the actual mascot, what is that dude's name? But anyways,
we're going to call him Grimace.
Like a red grimace, right? Like he's just a fun, happy, cool mascot. And I love that they're paying tribute to this team and this program and the mascot. Tuesday night on, I don't know what channel, ESPN, FS1, CBS Sports Network, whatever it is. This is an outstanding helmet theme that they are doing here. If you look at that graphic, you could see the mascot is specific to each positional group and their helmet logo. So like you've got special teams, punter, kicker, you've got a quarterback there, so all the quarterbacks on the team will have helmets with the mascot throwing the football. It looks like you got offensive linemen, wide receivers, defensive linemen, running backs. I don't know what that one all the way down at the bottom is. Maybe that's defensive backs.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's such a cool thing. It is so fun. This is how you get, hola, senor. This is how you get things done in a fun way. Like this is just so cool. Like this is a fun thing to draw more interest into a small college football program and to get more fans interested. Just small random stuff. Props to whoever in the Western Kentucky Athletic Department is doing this because a lot of good creativity there. So that's my game ball for the week.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What about your lane balls?
So I don't know if it's not Jim Harbaugh. It's not Michigan. That's my lane ball. I think I'm going to go with the NCAA and call this the lane balls, because it's a stupid rule. So the NCAA is investigating Michigan for sign stealing because they have somebody that is on their coaching staff that is going and scouting games in person, which is a NCAA violation apparently that you cannot do. This was a rule that was put into play in 1994 because they said it was an unfair advantage because not all college programs can afford to pay a coach to go scout in person. It's an outdated rule, in my opinion. I think it's a load of shit because you look at all the NIL money that athletic departments and football programs are using and passing around. All the millions of dollars they're paying their student athletes now, and you're telling me that these programs cannot afford to have a person go and scout teams in advance of games in person. Secondly, every team in the NCAA is doing this. Michigan is the one that's getting caught. I think it's a little bit of the stigma of people that don't like Jim Harbaugh and they don't like what Michigan is because of what Jim Harbaugh has had success with. And they are tired of Jim Harbaugh's antics, having to compete against him. And they're getting their asses beat by Michigan. I don't think Michigan needs an advanced scout at these games to beat the living piss out of all these programs that they are. They have enough talent where they do not need the advanced scouting. And you're talking one coach on their staff. It's not the entire coaching staff. It's one guy. Do I think Jim Harbaugh knew about this? Absolutely, he knows about it. He's denying it. Maybe, and I think this is a possibility, maybe they didn't know that this was a thing. Maybe they didn't know that this was a rule because it's such a stupid, outdated rule.
What's up, Brian?
I don't know. But it's a stupid rule that's in place. And I really believe that every team in college football is doing this. Michigan's the one that's getting caught, and the NCAA is going to make an example of Michigan. And then I think moving forward, they'll eliminate this rule and allow it to happen. And then they're saying, the sign stealing, it'll be more like the NFL where the quarterback will have a radio in his helmet to communicate with the coaches on the sideline. It's just a ridiculous, terrible, dumb rule. So,
yeah, absolutely. I guess he was was he a grad school transfer?
No,
he was there buying tickets for.
He was a coach that they hired. If you look at his LinkedIn page and all his social media, he was an ex-Marine that wanted to bring Marine tactics to the college football coaching level or whatever it is. And it's what are we doing here? It was weird. He wanted to bring Marine Corps tactics into college football or something. It was really fucking weird. Obviously he's he's suspended on leave now. This is a big overreaction. I think in the long grand scheme of things, Michigan's going to get a slap on the wrist for this, probably lose NIL money or lose scholarship money, something along those lines. And it won't matter because they're going to win a national championship this year, and Jim Harbaugh's going back to the NFL. So he's going to
or counterpoint, Luke, this is a bigger deal than people think it is. Or that they might just try to sweep it under the rug, and Jim Harbaugh is going to pull a Pete Carroll, and that's why he's leaving to the NFL.
Yeah, no, he is going to pull. He is pulling a Pete Carroll because if he stays, he's going to get fired or suspended or whatever.
If you win a national championship, there's no way they do any of those things. But unless this is worse than what they think it is.
I think the thing that's the most ridiculous about this isn't why Michigan's beating the shit out of all these teams. This isn't why
they're good.
This isn't why Michigan shit pumped Ohio State 2 years in a row now. It's not because of one guy going and doing advanced scouting. That's, to me, that's a slap in the face to the rest of the Michigan coaching staff. That's a slap in the face to the players on that team that have worked their ass off, and they're just more talented and they're better. They have over 20 guys on this roster that are going to be NFL draft picks, not just this year, but in upcoming years from there as well. Like, you're just using Michigan as an example. You're gonna have them be the example, and then you're gonna change the rules moving forward to where this is gonna be like, okay, we can teams can afford to do this, they could do it, and we'll put in headsets in the quarterbacks helmets now moving forward, like it's the NFL. Things are gonna change. There's gonna be rule changes, so that's why I don't think it's going to be a big thing. Yeah, Michigan's fucking cheating, but they don't need to cheat to beat your ass. They're just good.
They're good. Like, they're better than I thought that they would be. Like, I knew they were going to be good, and I knew that they were going to probably like steamroll their way through the Big Ten, but I didn't like. They're just destroying teams.
JJ McCarthy that's my dude. I mean, he's a hometown kid. It's a little bit biased there, you know. Not that I'm from, like, he's LaGrange Park. LaGrange Park, LaGrange, a little bit different zip codes. So, but local product. Got a lot of love for him and that family. They're good people. But that's the guy. We'll talk about that a little bit more moving forward. But that's the guy that should be drafted by the Chicago Bears. He will save the city of Chicago sports by becoming the future of the Chicago Bears as the quarterback. That's who the Bears need to draft to save Chicago sports forever. JJ McCarthy, I feel like, was put on this earth to be the hometown kid for his hometown team that he grew up watching, to play for them and restore the order of Chicago sports.
Wow. That's okay. All right.
That's the guy. He's the best quarterback in the draft as far as being an NFL prospect. Not Caleb.
Okay. All right. Like, I'm not gonna. Yeah. I have some game balls and lane balls too. This is an all ACC edition. My game ball is Riley Leonard, right? Like, a night game at Doak, the number 4 team in the country, Florida State, and you come in after what did he? It was a knee sprain,
high ankle sprain.
You come in, and you should have been out 3 or 4 more weeks, and you are trying to play and trying to lead your team to a victory, and they were up at the half. Right? They were up. Now, I still don't think they would have won that game because Mike Norvell is an excellent second half coach. But like, just the balls on this kid to come into Doak, 82,000 people, crazy. 7 o'clock game. They had all day to get revved up and drink to walk into Doak. And you came in and you did that, and it was cool. So, like, I have respect for Riley Leonard.
Yeah, I don't think he should have played in that game.
I also have respect for Duke's head coach for telling him that, no, in the third quarter, no, dude, your ankle is worse than what we thought it was. We're going to go with the backup. We have to.
You could see it. Yeah.
Unlike Mario Cristobal, who fucking ran Tyler Van Dyke into the ground and had to go with the backup quarterback in their win against Clemson.
Yeah, that was, Riley Leonard to try to tough it out and give it a go, but you could just tell in the first half he was not that same quarterback that we saw earlier in the year against Clemson. He just was he was not effective. He's not a pocket passer. He's a mobile quarterback. Like, he can't do the things that he's capable of doing when you eliminate the strength of his game. And that's what it all came down to in the long run. And then Florida State stepped it up in the second half.
They did their thing. They gave up 0 points in the second half.
Yeah.
And Jordan Travis did his thing. My lane ball is also ACC. It goes to Dabo Swinney for one. We already know Dabo Swinney is a fucking scumbag. And I hate him. But the writing's on the wall, and it might be time to move on when you start pinning your loss on your quarterback, changing the play at the line of scrimmage, and you don't just own that loss, right? You lost to Clemson in 2 overtimes. And you don't have the greatest team, or you lost to Miami in 2 overtimes, and you don't have the greatest team this year, but like, you can't start throwing these kids under the bus in your post-game press conference. And he even knew that he fucked up and apologized for it.
So here's where I have an issue with Dabo this week. This week, and why I dislike Dabo. In this week's news segment called "Why Do I Dislike Dabo Swinney?" It wasn't his post-game press conference comments that got to me. It was what he said building up into this. And he was like calling out the fans and blaming the fans for having high expectations. He's like, "Oh, if we're not undefeated, we're a terrible team. And these fans, they just don't understand what it's like to lose." It's like, why don't you just come out and say, we're just not as good as we have been in years past, instead of trying to point the finger at the fans for having high expectations? Yeah,
well,
like, come on.
He doubled down. Like, he doubled back, and he was like, well, let me take that back. 98.5% of our fans are great. It's that small 1.5%. Like, shut up.
Don't blame the fans for having high expectations. If you're a Clemson football fan, you expect to compete for a national championship every year.
You won the conference for the last, 8 years?
Yes. Don't throw
you expect.
Don't pin it on the fans. Just say, yeah, we're not as good as we thought we would be. This was before this week's loss, so now they're a 3-loss Clemson, which really looks bad because they could lose again this year. Without looking at their schedule, I don't know what they have the rest of the way. I mean, they're out of the ACC championship race. They're not in the playoff hunt. They're going to get some mid-tier bowl game. Like, he needs to just, every time he opens his mouth, it's chaos. It's dumb things that he says. Like, he needs a PR guy or something. Like, somebody to tell him, like, what are you doing? What are you saying? Like, I mean, but the other side of it is he did throw his quarterback under the bus a little bit with that comment. He could have kept that in-house and said something as simple as, yeah, we didn't execute there on 4th down and we couldn't get it done. At the same time, why is Cade Klubnik not, like, why is he making that call himself? Like, that,
maybe he saw something in the coverage.
He saw something that he fucked up. He did fuck up.
He fucked up.
But you don't say that in the post-game press conference.
You don't throw your quarterback under the bus like that.
You keep
just
that
own
in-house.
It, man. Like, yeah, we could have played better.
You keep that in-house. You keep that in the locker room, and you talk about that behind closed doors. Now, Cade Klubnik calling that himself, he hasn't done anything to earn that right. If that's what happened. Like, he's not he's not the guy to do that. What has he done in his career yet to be the guy to say, I'm making this call? Like, check your ego at the door, man. Listen to your coaches, listen to the play call, and trust the system. And if there's something that you see that you don't like, call a timeout and then go back. I don't know if they had timeouts left at that point in time, but if they did, maybe discuss that and say, Coach, hey, like, what about this?
I love that we got an update from Brian. The Rangers are up 3-0 already. I need the Rangers in the World Series.
That would be really cool.
I need a Rangers Diamondbacks World Series. Anyways, no, those are my game balls and they're my lane balls. Brian, keep sending updates if you got them. We like baseball updates. Let's get into the top 25. You ready, Luke?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have a new entry in the number 25 slot. 7-0, James Madison. 20-9 win over Marshall.
I think Liberty should be ranked and not James Madison if we're going to put somebody
they both got votes, right? So
yes, they did. I want to see those two play each other. That'd be fun. But James Madison, I believe, despite being ranked, they have not been in the FBS yet for
who's this? I like this guy. This guy parties.
It's a burner account. It's a burner account. Yeah, using the R word, that's pretty lame. Come on. James Madison being oh my God. They're not bowl eligible yet.
No.
Because they haven't been in the FBS for long enough. So it's kind of lame. And same goes for Jacksonville State. They're bowl eligible, but they won't be allowed to play. So somebody did say the idea of why don't they play each other in Hawaii the last week of the season when Army-Navy is being played, and then play that and call that their bowl game. There's nothing. There's a loophole where they can do that. There's like an NCAA loophole where they could do that. So,
I mean, it's cool. They have a cool logo. I
yeah,
know it takes up 90% of the screen, but at 24 we have your boys, Luke, the USC Trojans.
my boys, watch your mouth.
USC lost 34-32 to Utah on a field goal. Caleb Williams was 24 for 34 with 256 yards, 0 touchdowns. Touchdowns. His Heisman stock is plummeted.
Oh, he's done. Is he going to finish the season? That's the real question.
It is. I mean, I wish I was a divorced dad with an estranged kid, but what can you do? He's not going to be in New York. It's going to be Michael Penix. It's going to be JJ McCarthy, and it's going to be I don't know who the third person is.
It could be anybody. Could be Jordan Travis. Could be Bo Nix. Could be Marvin Harrison Jr. There's a lot of options out there.
There's a lot of options out there. But yeah, we'll get more into what Utah did. We have their brothers from the other side of the city coming in at 23, UCLA. They had a 42-7 win over Stanford. Carson Steele had 3 touchdowns.
The Ball State transfer, Carson Steele. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, good for him.
I mean, 23 for UCLA is pretty good.
It's fine.
Right?
It's
fine. They're not going to compete for anything, but it is what it is.
They will have a big game the last week of the year against USC. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Depending on who's still there. If Caleb Williams says, I'm done, I'm going to opt out the remainder of the year, or is it going to be a whole new,
No, so is that a possibility, Luke? Are you hearing things about Caleb Williams like sitting out the rest of the year?
I've heard some things. I don't know how accurate it is. I don't know what the right move is for Caleb either. Because part of it seems like Caleb needs to play a good game against a top 25 opponent for once in his career, which he has not done. But he also has to look for his future too, because if he continues to play bad against top 25 opponents, his stock is going to continue to plummet. I don't know what Caleb Williams is going to do. It's not out of the realm of possibility, though, that he does opt out, if not this week, but, in one of these next upcoming weeks. It's very possible.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we got next. Tulane, 35-28 win over North Texas. So tough game on the schedule for them over North Texas.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we can kind of slide through some of these teams. Like, we don't need to break down their game, their scrappy win over North Texas.
No, that's fine.
At 21, we have the Tennessee Vols. They lost and still stayed in the top 25, but they lost to an Alabama team, 34-20. Joe Milton was 28 for 41 with 271 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not a great QBR, but decent amount of yards in the air and 2 touchdowns. But so I know Alabama's ranked higher, and we'll talk about them. But I've been reading some things that people are saying that this Alabama team is the best coaching job that Nick Saban has ever done, because they don't have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball.
I think they're the beneficiary of a weaker SEC this year more than anything, and he's taking advantage of that.
I also think the SEC isn't as dominant as it has been.
Yep.
Yeah. So
they're beating the teams they're supposed to be beating, and when push comes to shove, they're going to go up against a real opponent at some point, and I think we're going to see the Alabama we saw earlier in the year again. So,
absolutely. We have the Duke Blue Devils. We talked about it already. 38-20 loss to FSU. They had 0 points in the second half. Riley Leonard kept them in. They had the lead for the first half of the game, 20-17, and then the bottom just fell out in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. You got to have a healthy Riley Leonard for this team to show up. Their defense can only do so much. So
yeah, and they played great. They played lights out. It's just Florida State was rotating athlete in after athlete, and they got winded.
Yep.
Yeah. Air Force still undefeated, 17-6 win over Navy in the top 20. Kind of dope, right?
Yeah, that's. I'm
I
curious.
always
to
think
see,
it's
like,
cool when Air Force or Navy or whatever is, or when they're ranked. I think it's always cool when these guys are ranked.
I don't know what the remaining schedule is for them, but the way they're playing, they are on the fast track to be in a New Year's Six bowl game at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 18, we have the Louisville Cardinals. They had a bye week. They have Duke next week. We'll talk about that game of the week. And then the big upset of the week coming in at number 17, the North Carolina Tar Heels. Luke, you just found out about this today.
No, it was last night.
It was yesterday.
I don't know how I missed that one. Like, maybe because I just assumed, like, yeah, North Carolina's playing who? Like, I mean, I can't. Who did they beat? Who did they lose to again? I already forgot.
Virginia.
They lost to fucking Virginia. I mean, yeah, they screwed themselves over.
Luke, whose burner do you think this is?
Oh, I don't give a fuck.
I'm gonna go Carey.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Oh man. Let's see. What do we got next? We have Mizzou, 34-12 win over USC. Brady Cook, 14-24 for 198 yards and 1 touchdown. Mizzou continues to impress.
Yeah, I believe they got a bye week this week, and then they got a big game after that against Georgia.
Yeah, so absolutely.
That could be a college game day thing. We'll see. I mean,
in Mizzou, Georgia.
Yeah, that's maybe a possibility.
Maybe. And then at number 15, Jesus Christ, LSU, man, this offense just continues to explode. I know it's Army, but 62-0 win over Army. Jaden Daniels, 11 for 15 for 279 yards. He threw 11 receptions.
That's again
11 completions for 279 yards.
I said it a couple weeks ago. He's a Heisman candidate. He could be in New York.
He might be.
He's got a real good chance. If you look at his numbers, and match him up against like the JJ McCarthy's of the world, he could be right there.
I think the only thing holding him back is that win-loss record.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you got to throw out the win-loss record and just go and say, this guy's a dude. Little bit of a known secret. I don't like to put these out on the air, but I will just say this. Anytime LSU has a game, bet the over on their total.
Yeah.
Just bet the game total over every time, because
is Daniels going to enter the draft?
Well, I don't see why he wouldn't. What is he going to stay for at this point?
I mean,
would you want to spend another year with Brian Kelly?
No, but I could also see him transferring.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I just think he could have good draft stock in a very deep quarterback class. So,
right.
I mean, we'll see. That'll be interesting. I would not want to spend another year with a murderer if I didn't have to.
He's also just a terrible, he can't win a big game. So,
yes, that's also true.
All right. Notre Dame at 14. They had a bye. They play Pitt next week. Should be a pretty easy win for Notre Dame over Pitt.
Should be.
Pitt's, they've progressively gotten better, but they're still pretty bad.
Yeah.
They're not Virginia bad, North Carolina. Yeah, so they had a bye. They'll play Pitt next week. Coming in at 13, we already talked about this game a little bit, but Utah 34-32 win over USC. They were up by a lot and they blew that lead and they had to win by a field goal, but that's still a decent win for the Utah team.
The USC defense is a lot worse than I thought. If you're giving up 34 points to Utah, that's like giving up 34 points to Iowa. That, like, to quote our guys at the Cover 3 podcast, Utah is just Iowa, but in the Pac-12. And you gave up 34 points to that team.
To that Utah team. It's like, pretty bad. Lord. It's pretty bad. Oh, man. What do we got next, Luke? We have Ole Miss, 28-21 win over Auburn. Quinshawn Judkins, 21 carries, 124 yards, and a tutty. What do they have? One loss on their record?
No, they got a second loss somewhere.
They have a second loss.
They would have been ranked higher. They've got 2 losses on there. They lost to Alabama and They beat LSU. They have a second loss somewhere on there. There's no way that they would be ranked this low if they were a 1-loss team right now.
Right.
Yeah. Weirdest team in the SEC. I'll just keep saying that every week. I don't understand this team or the direction they're going. Lane Kiffin's the man, though. So
I know you like Lane Kiffin. I do not like Lane Kiffin, but that it is what it is. We have Oregon State. They had a bye week this week. Their next game is October 28th against the Arizona Wildcats. And then we get into our top 10. Penn State, 20-12 loss to the Ohio State University, my favorite Big Ten school.
That's not true. We all know
Till
it's
next
Purdue.
year. Till next year.
We all know it's Purdue.
It is Purdue.
You're lying. Penn State defense, good. Penn State offense, Iowa 2.0. Very disappointed with this offense so far this year. They're very underwhelming.
Well, and isn't Drew Alar a true freshman?
He's a redshirt freshman.
He's a redshirt freshman. Okay.
Yep. He's a redshirt freshman. The tackle, Fashanu, did not have a great game there either.
He's going to be a top 5 pick, so it doesn't matter.
Not if he played like he did on Saturday. His stock might go down if he has a bad game against Michigan next. Like in
I
a
think
couple
right now
weeks.
the two like number 1 overall picks in terms of offensive line, it's Joe Alt and Fashanu, right?
Yeah, Fashanu is projected to be a top 5 pick, but if he plays like this in big games, it's like Caleb Williams. Like
I don't think any of that shit matters once you get to the scouting combine. Like
could be
if you run a 40, if you rep a bunch of a bunch of times, like I think you're good.
I also have a lot of thoughts on the scouting combine that I think are.
We should probably keep that for an off-season episode.
Oh, I hate the combine. I think it's so fucking stupid and a waste of time.
All right, number 9 we've talked about because they played Tennessee. But Jalen Milroe, 14-21, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns. Alabama wins. They're in the top 10 again. They're in the top 10 again. That's why I think people are saying that this is one of the better Coach Saban teams because he's doing more with less.
I mean, they can find their way to the SEC championship game, but then they're gonna. I just don't see a path after that.
Georgia's just gonna smoke them.
Yeah. I mean, and that's it. That's it. Like, they still have to play LSU, right? They haven't played LSU yet.
They still have an LSU game.
So, I mean, and LSU beat them last year. So
they did. Number 8, Luke,
let's go.
Take it away, buddy.
Big win against Washington State. Props to Cam Ward. He is a very good quarterback. I was impressed with him. Ultimately, in the second half, Oregon just blew him away. They established the run game. After the first quarter, it looked like they couldn't get the run game going, but then you could see that Washington State's defense just could not keep up with the reps with Oregon's offense. I will give a lot of credit to Washington State, though, for hanging tough through the first half. I think that coach, Jake Dickert, I think that's the guy that's going to be at Michigan State next year. I think he is the next Michigan State head coach. He's from the Midwest. I think Michigan State is a very good landing spot for him. Why would you stay at Washington State? And there's been rumors already that schools are contacting him. He's denied all the rumors, but he is saying, I am not talking to any schools currently. I'm here working for Washington State. I'm the head coach at Washington State, saying all the right things. That doesn't mean that does not mean that these other schools aren't talking to his agent.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, absolutely.
Like he could talk to these schools could talk to other people connected to Jake Dickert and then relay the message to Dickert. And Dickert's like, okay, cool. Like he's on his way out from Washington State. He's going to get a big pay raise. He's going to coach in the Big Ten at Michigan State. I am very convinced by that. That is a prediction that I will live and die by the remainder of the season. He's going to be the next Michigan State head coach. And if he's not at Michigan State, he's going to land somewhere else. He's going to get another Power 5 job somewhere. So, but I really think it's going to be Michigan State. It's a great fit for him to go there, or Michigan.
Or, well, yeah, I don't know.
Think
if
about
Harbaugh's
that.
leaving. I think the Bears would be dumb to hire Jim Harbaugh.
I don't.
All right, let's move on. I mean, you talked about Bo Nix, right? 18 for 25, 293 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bucky Irving, 15 receptions, 129 yards, 2 TDs.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I mean, a good
Hillcrest
win
High School, Bucky Irving.
Allegedly, that's what they say, right?
Yep.
The Bears are dumb, so it's par for the course. I absolutely agree, Brian. Texas snuck out a victory over Houston, 31-24. Quinn Ewers, 23 for 39, 211 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's just an average win for them. Like, they should have blown this team out. Like, if you're Texas,
I don't understand why that game was close the whole way.
Right.
I don't know.
It was close the whole way.
I didn't realize it was close, and then I saw the score and I flipped it on really quick. Like, oh shit, how is this happening? Like,
yeah.
So I didn't watch much of that game. I just turned it on late in the fourth quarter when they pulled it off. So
you want to talk about sneaking away with a W? Oklahoma 31-29 over UCF. Dylan Gabriel 25 for 38, 3 touchdowns and 1 interceptions, but they barely beat UCF.
I think the factor in this is UCF has underperformed all year. Should have Oklahoma have blown them out? Yeah, they were. I think when the line finally closed, they were 17-point favorites. They opened up at 19. UCF did get John Reese Plumlee back at starting quarterback. He had been out for a number of weeks. I don't know if he even played yet this year, but it's a different team when he's in there. Like, the drop off from Plumlee to their second stringer is clearly, I mean, you could see off the record, is significant, but I didn't expect him to hang with Oklahoma like that, even with Plumlee in there. So, man, they got out though. They got away with the win. They got home.
And that leads us right into the number 5 team in the country sneaking away with a W. Michael Penix Jr., 27-42. What was the score of this? 16-7, 15-7?
I think it was 16-7.
16-7. Michael Penix, 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So I think, Luke, like, and you talked about this, you've been on this train for a while. Like, I think J.J. McCarthy has jumped Michael Penix Jr. in the Heisman race.
He, according to the sports books, he has. I mean, Penix is still in the mix, but if he has another game like that, even again, the second half versus Oregon was not a very exciting game for him. Like, it was like whatever. He had a great first half against Oregon, which, you know, obviously he had a couple good big plays in the Oregon game in the second half that got them the win. But I mean, if they lose that game like they should have against Oregon, Penix stock drops and Bo Nix is suddenly the favorite for the Heisman. And then this game now, Arizona, right? Like, that was
yeah. It's got to, I mean, JJ, like, we can just, I don't know. Like, let's move on to number 4 and we'll get in the Heisman.
Okay.
Florida State, 38-20 win over Duke, 0 points in the second half. They've given up like 40 something points in the second half all season. Jordan Travis was 27 for 36 with 268 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, a bad interception. But it didn't hurt the team in the long run. And Deuce Spann had a 99-yard kickoff return. I want to shout out Deuce Spann. Deuce is dating the sister of a friend of mine.
Oh, no kidding.
And Deuce has been kind enough to give me some game-used FSU gear.
Okay.
Gloves, towels, like some game-used stuff. Like, I have his gloves from the Clemson game last year.
Yep.
And it's really, really cool. So it was cool to see Deuce return that for a touchdown and, like, get them back into the game. And then Deuce got to break the rock after the game. So after every Knowles victory, they have a sledgehammer that Mike Norvell brought in with him from Memphis, and Deuce got to break the rock. And it's really, really cool. And it was really, really a kid that transferred from U of I. And he thought he was going to get some more opportunities at Florida State. still continuing to contribute where he can on special teams. Really, really cool. So they're the number 4 team in the country, and they have Wake Forest next week. And until the Miami game, I'm not super worried.
Yeah, there's no reason that they should have any issue with Wake Forest.
They also had a massive 5-star flip today.
Okay.
Armando Blunt is a 5-star defensive lineman, and he was committed to Miami, and he was in Tallahassee on Saturday night. And it was a sold out 82,000 people in Doak. And he flat out said, like, I want to play in front of crowds like this. And if you want to play in front of crowds like that, you're going to Gainesville or you're going to Tallahassee, because Miami does not have that type of atmosphere in Hard Rock Stadium. And it was a big flip for the recruiting class. It was a massive get for Mike Norvell.
Yeah, that's huge. That's good for them, because they got to keep getting the recruiting wins. With more wins come recruiting wins, and it's showing.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And to have, all those people in Doak at a 7:30 game, and to see that guy flip the next day, that's awesome. I love it. It. But yeah, now we can get into number 3 team in the country. We have the Ohio State Buckeyes. They, like we talked about before, 20-12 win over Penn State. Kyle McCord, 22 for 35, 286 yards. Marvin Harrison Jr., future Chicago Bear, 11 receptions, 162 yards, and a touchdown. The dude's lights out. He's amazing.
The reason why Kyle McCord and Ohio State are good is because Kyle McCord could just say, I'm going to throw this ball way up in the air and aim it towards Marvin Harrison, and he's going to catch it. Like, he doesn't have to do anything else. If he didn't have Marvin Harrison, if Marvin Harrison was on Penn State would have won that game, because Drew Aller would have said, I'm going to throw it to Marvin, and he's going to catch it. Kyle McCord, without Marvin Harrison, is not a good quarterback.
Brian,
Okay,
I like
so
you.
Can we talk about this? I agree with this, because
I'm not saying you don't.
no, because Ohio State's getting first place votes. Why? You beat a Penn State team whose offense has looked like dog shit all year, and you barely got by a Notre Dame team who couldn't figure out how to count to 11 and have the right number of players on defense.
Yeah.
So, like, why? I mean, they only got like 3 first place votes, but they're not the number 3 ranked team in the country at all.
I don't disagree. I'm not me. I love FSU, but I don't. They're a top 4 team in the country. I'm okay with the ranking as long as they're in the playoff when it happens. That's what I care about.
I don't think they're a top 4 team in the country. I think Washington and Oregon are both better. And I mean, obviously Michigan's going to kick the living piss out of them again in the last week in November at high noon on Saturday.
Are you talking about Ohio State?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Florida State, because I was like, I know, because we were talking about, yeah. Okay. All right.
No, yeah. Ohio State, no, they're not number 3. They're like number 6 or 7 in my book. So
okay. Let's talk about another close win. Michigan, 49-0 win over Michigan State. JJ McCarthy got to take it easy, 21 for 27, 287 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
That's your Heisman front runner. And like we talked about it a week ago on the show, I said, get that McCarthy Heisman bet in now, because that number is going to drop significantly. And he cooked. Brian got the number.
Brian got in.
Man, look at the difference a week makes. Woo!
Yeah.
This is the guy I want the Bears to draft at quarterback, not Caleb Williams. I'd rather take the package deal of Harbaugh and JJ over Caleb and Lincoln Riley, which is a possibility from what I've heard.
I would be okay with JJ, but without Jim Harbaugh.
Well, then you got to find somebody else to be the head coach still.
Oh, it's not going to be. I don't even want to get into that, because I just got off work. I don't want to get fired up thinking about Matt Eberflus, but it's not going to be him.
Yeah.
Anyways, Michigan continues to steamroll their Big Ten competition. They're going to get in the playoff. They're going to win the Big Ten. And then that brings you to the number 1 team in the country, Georgia. They had a bye week. But until the big dog loses, then they stay at number 1 because they've earned it.
I heard a rumor that they had hired a coach to do advanced scouting for the bye week team, and they're now under investigation for beating the bye week team. So we'll see if anything happens with that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we can kind of like put a cap on this Heisman and think that we're both full in on JJ McCarthy, and I still think Michael Penix Jr. gets an invite to New York.
Yes.
And then who do you got at 3? Who's the other person that's in New York?
So who did I say? Why am I drawing a blank right now? I can tell you in 1 second. So we've got. So we mentioned JJ, and we mentioned Penix. I don't know. Dylan Gabriel is at plus 1100 right now on DraftKings.
Brian says Jaden Daniels.
That's what I was saying. I think Jaden Daniels has the numbers there. Sometimes they invite more than 3, though. I mean, I don't know why Jordan Travis is not getting more hype. Maybe it's because, the win against Clemson is now a 3-loss Clemson, and they're, taking that into consideration, saying, well, Clemson really isn't the team that they thought preseason. That was a team that was top 5 preseason ranking, right?
Yeah.
And now they're unranked, so that could factor in. So that could factor into Heisman voting. And, maybe they're saying, well, Jordan Travis' schedule is not as strong. But, I mean, Michigan's had the easiest schedule in the country by far. But I think when push comes to shove, they're going to have Penn State and Ohio State 2 of the last 3 weeks of the season. Can
we take a minute, Luke? Like, let's pause this Heisman talk. Let's pause it. And let's talk about our friend Brian, right? Because we're all about friendships here. We love everybody that watches. Brian has never been a massive college football fan. Like, he's probably been like a casual watcher.
Yes.
But Brian has been there in our group chat week in and week out since the start of the season. And we're going to give some credit to Colorado here, because Colorado is what got him involved, right? So we'll give credit where credit's due. Deion's good at that. Brian has been in this chat with us week in, week out, talking college football, learning college football, having lingo with us, and it's been fantastic. So we've done our job. We've converted just one non-college football fan to a college football fan.
So in regards to a statement about Brady Cook, if Missouri beats Georgia, then Brady Cook will skyrocket in the Heisman votes. Like, then people will really start to look like, oh yeah, maybe we should give him a look. I think JJ and Penix for sure. And right now, Jaden Daniels, I still have in there. I mentioned him, I think 2 weeks ago on the show. Some other guys, obviously, I'll let you talk about your boy Jordan Travis here in a second. But the other two to look at, as far as value goes, Drake May's out after that loss to Virginia.
Absolutely.
Marvin Harrison Jr. somehow is in the mix there because he's that good. He makes the rest of the team at Ohio State look good. If they didn't have Marvin Harrison Jr., they would not be where they currently are. If you want a value bet for this week, a value play on a Heisman future bet, that would go to my guy Bo Nix. Because if they go on the road to Utah and beat Utah, and then they win out from there and have a rematch with Washington in the Pac-12 championship game to win the Pac-12 championship, they're now in the playoff as a one-loss team, and Bo Nix will be in New York if that happens. Right now, he's not. But if you're looking for a good value bet at plus 1,300, keep an eye on Bo Nix and Oregon. They have to get past this week, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Jordan Travis strength of schedule might be what they're looking at, but dude's had a great year. He's had a great year. They're 7-0. And they're a name, man. They bring in rankings. So we'll see.
He's a baller. Like, he should get more credit, really. Like, I don't understand why people aren't talking about him as much. I mean, maybe it's the stats and the number line. I don't know. Like, every time I watch him play, he's impressive. Like, he's right there. So,
and I cannot talk enough about. There's two people so. Luke, you know that when Willie Taggart was here and was in Tallahassee, he ran the program into the ground.
Yep.
And Jimbo had them the highest of highs, and Willie was the lowest of lows. and there are 2 or 3 people that I think are responsible for like the rebirth or like the the renaissance of Florida State football, right? One is Mike Norvell, right? He completely changed the culture. I went to a Willie Taggart Notre Dame game, Florida State Notre Dame game with Willie Taggart coaching in South Bend, and we were watching the Notre Dame guys with Brian Kelly like warm up on the field, and they're all organized, and the warm ups are all like, time. Everything was super well organized, right? And I'm watching Willie Taggart and the Knowles, and they're just dancing to music on the sidelines. There was no organization. There was no discipline whatsoever. But Mike Norvell has come in and completely changed that culture.
Yeah.
The other 2 people, one of them is in the NFL right now. He goes by the name of Jermaine Johnson. He was a transfer from Georgia, and he was getting significant snaps at Georgia, and he came in and he has changed. He changed what it looked like, and it was Mike Norvell's first big get in the transfer portal. And Mike Norvell knows how to fucking work the portal. And the third guy is this guy, Jordan Travis, right? Jordan Travis was a transfer from Louisville, and he had a bad freshman year, and he transferred to Florida State, where his brother, Devon, who played for the Blue Jays for a long time, is a legend for the Florida State baseball team, right?
Okay.
And these 3 guys have turned that program around. Jordan Travis deserves some fucking Heisman votes.
Yeah,
he doesn't deserve to win it. He doesn't deserve to win it. I think
not yet, at least.
No,
he's getting close.
He's getting close. You go through that, like it is what it is, but like he deserves to be in that conversation. But I digress.
There's some good value on that one too. I think he's at like 10-1 right now.
Yeah,
like he's where JJ McCarthy was a week ago in the Heisman voting. I think just the difference is JJ is on a different level right now. He looks like an NFL quarterback every time he's out on the field. Like he just
does.
looking,
and he's just got that big like build and look of an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, he like Jordan Travis. I don't know how he's going to translate to the NFL.
I don't either.
JJ McCarthy's an NFL quarterback, man. So
I would agree. Well, that's our Heisman talk. Let's get into our 3 games of the week for you guys to watch. All right,
let's go.
We got Oregon, Utah, right off the bat. Luke, you want to break this one down?
Man, do I ever. So at Utah, okay, the last time Utah lost a game at Utah was in 2020 when there was no fans in the stadium. Okay. It's a very, very, very difficult place to play. I think Oregon knows that. They understand that. They're prepared for this. They have a hard time playing at Utah, just like every other team in the Pac-12 has for the last 3 years. I think things are going to shake out just fine for Oregon this weekend. They opened at the books at as -3, so they're road favorites at -3. It's already been bet up to -7 on the road. As long as Oregon can get to 17 or 21 points, this game's over because Utah is not going to score that much. Plain and simple. You've got to get the crowd out of it early on and put up 2 scores early and shut them out in the first quarter, or make it like 14-3 after the first quarter and get that crowd out of it, and then just score another touchdown and the game's over, because Utah's not scoring more than 21 points in this game.
Not with their backup quarterback, and
that guy's actually been a baller.
He has been, but like
he
hasn't played a defense like Oregon.
No, I think that's the other thing. Going into the season, everybody was wondering, where is the best defense in the Pac-12? Is it still Utah? I think it's Oregon now. I think Oregon's the best defense in the Pac-12 now. They've kind of established that, and they're getting healthier every week. They're not just getting better each week; they're getting healthier on the defense. So they got, I think his name's Justin Jenkins, the transfer from Iowa, played his first game last week. He got in on special teams. He got some other snaps in, so he's going to be a full goal here pretty soon. They got depth on defense. They could stop this Utah offense. Anybody can, except unless you're USC. But like, and the Oregon offense, my God, they just cook. They start out slow. They're a slow starting team that first quarter, but then they build that momentum and they keep rolling, baby. Like, let's go Ducks. Let's get this win. This is such a big win for the program. They need, like, this is the season right here. Like, win this game, your schedule shakes out to be, you're going to be favored. I mean, they're going to be favored in every game the rest of the way, but you have to win this one first, and then you're on the path to the Pac-12 championship for what could be a rematch with Washington, what should be. So,
yeah, I know you're like itching to get your hands on Washington again.
Oh, because we shouldn't have lost the first time. Yes,
Right.
I need that. I need that game so bad.
All right, what else we got? We have the world's largest outdoor cocktail party in Jacksonville, Florida. I love this game every year, Luke. I love SEC football on CBS. I love this matchup at a neutral site. I don't have a dog in this race. I mean, I guess I would say it was Georgia because I fucking hate Florida. But, like, I just think this is a cool fucking matchup.
It's a fun matchup every year. The atmosphere is it's just great. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I got to look at the spread on this one. I haven't had a chance to take a look and dive in yet. Georgia should be at like -14 or something, or -17. But
I mean, I think Georgia destroys this team.
Graham Mertz has looked better than he did early in the season.
Sure. Yeah, he
has looked better. The offense has looked better. The defense is so inconsistent. We will see. But maybe this is where you see, like, hey, maybe the SEC really, it does have some problems and they're not as good. And maybe Florida gives Georgia a run.
Yeah.
And Georgia still wins, but maybe they only win by a field goal. Maybe they only win by one score, you know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how things shake out.
And we don't have a great like weekly, matchup this week. So our third game is Duke and Louisville. Still two ranked teams, but I think Riley Leonard's probably going to sit this game out again.
He's got to.
Like, he has to.
This will be interesting. Can Duke's defense hold up without, and win this game while the offense does not have Riley Leonard? Louisville has been the beneficiary of a weak schedule, and then they kind of shit the bed 2 weeks ago against Pitt. Could be a bounce back spot for them. Duke is the better team. I don't know if they're the better team without Riley Leonard, though. This is going to be an intriguing one to watch. Man, I want to see Duke do well, because I feel for Riley Leonard and that ankle injury. He's got to be looking at his NFL future, though, at the same time.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know, man. He's
a early round pick in the NFL draft. I don't know about first round, but it's second or third round. He's there. Some team's going to be very happy to have Riley Leonard next year.
I agree. All right, let's see what else. I think that's it. I think that's what we got. We've covered everything.
Yeah, that's
we had our games of the week. We had our Heisman talk. We had a good top 25 breakdown, game balls and lane balls. It was a good week, and we kept it under an hour.
Yeah. I guess we will touch base maybe about a playback for that Oregon game if schedules line up.
I honestly, Luke, I forgot that that thing was this weekend.
Okay.
And I got to work till 6, so I won't.
Oh, you bum!
I know. I have Sundays off.
That's right. Okay.
So, and like as someone that works in a retail store, I can't be mad at Apple for giving me one weekend day off a week. So
that's true.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on From Eugene to Tallahassee.
Go Ducks.
Deuces.
Still live.
I know.